Hello everyone. As promised, I said I was going to have a look at the Revolt today. I thought, why not? Let's do it. What I'm doing at the moment is running it on a simple version 2, which is a genuine unit. I think for me, that is a pretty tidy looking device overall. You can have the option of getting a POM middle section there to help, but inside the stainless steel cap there is a POM bit which cools it down slightly. As always, I don't like gaps, I don't like anything too big, and you can see in the hand that is just perfect size. You see some of the Vamos and things out there at the moment, and I mean, they're like that big. How people use that and keep a straight face, I do not know. That's up to you, man. If you use one of those things, that's fine. If you find that works for you, then go ahead. But for me, I like stumpy. I like small. It fits in your hand. It looks really good. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm actually going to take this guy apart and re-wick it, because you can see there it looks like tarmac is. I'm smoking tar pretty much. Not tires and smoke tar, tires and what you put on the road. Okay, so let's go ahead and find my kit. Perhaps I should have done this before and edited it out, but bear with me. I've got my trusty kit here. I think every vaping nut will have one. It's got everything I need to change something properly. So, toilet paper, which my wife thinks is for other things, but it's for vaping, I swear. Right, so there we are. So I just put a piece down there. What I'm going to do is take out the old cotton wool and replace it for some new. I want to point out just real quick that you can see the deck on that is rather tiny. I mean, in comparison to the Forge version 2, you can see how small it is. Again, if you look at the little boy, I mean, it's massively smaller than the little boy. So the amount of liquid you can get in, it's quite small. It is very deep though, so it's quite deceiving. And then you've got the Dark Horse here. Again, I mean, look at the difference there. It's pretty big. But still, I've put the Dark Horse and the little boy and the Troll, to be fair, I've put all of those back in my box, and they're all original, and I do like spending money on the proper stuff, but they're just sitting in my box. I'm quite fickle when it comes to vaping. I will look for the newest thing out there, and then I will buy it. So, okay, I use ceramic tweezers. I have various different types for various things. With this one, I will probably use these. They are quite sort of bent at the end, and they've got very sharp ends. So when I'm taking cotton wool out, I will use these. So there's still quite a bit of liquid on there. Take that out. I know most people watching this will know what they're talking about already, but for people that aren't and they've just checked me out just to have a look, or to be fair, they're probably switched off by now. But when you're pulling cotton wool out, it tends to bend your coils. I use my coils probably 4 times, then I bin them and change them. When they get that rusty sort of feel to them, the taste isn't that great. So what I normally do is I snip off a section this side, like so. Be careful not to cut your wires. I've done that before as well. It's very, very annoying. So clip off the ends. All that does is it helps getting the cotton wool out, because when you let it get to the stage that it is now, and it looks like I said, tarmac, it sort of bonds to the coil on the inside, and you can't get it out easily, and it will break. So once I've done that, I it's easier to just pull the ends out. There you go. As you can see, that's long overdue. Alright, so that comes out pretty easily. Now if you simply just re-wick that now and you don't burn it off, it's going to give you the same sort of burnt taste after a few drags. So what I do is I pulse it to get rid of any of the residue. There we go. You can see, ooh, there's lots of stuff on there. Right. Blow off any of the excess. Yeah, I might need to change that soon. Okay. I do have a little tool that I use from time to time. What I'd say is if you use the plastic or the it's not plastic, I don't know what it is, it's fluffy, wait for it to cool down, because if you go straight ahead and use it, it'll melt that. So I just brush off any excess. You can see there's some heat coming off of there. Right, so there we go. I also tend to use pipe cleaners. Again, my father used to smoke a pipe, and he used to sit there religiously and clean his pipes. And so that's partly my reason for loving to tinker. So I get a pipe cleaner and just thread it through like so, just to get off any excess from the inside. Okay. So once you've done that, you want to check that your coils are in fact aligned. I'll get out of the way so you can see that. Any difference in height or length coming out will affect the ohms reading. So that's looking pretty wicked like that. I also tend to look inside the deck to see whether there's any bits. In this case there is a few, so I might just give that a little clean. If you've got coils in there already and you can't get the tissue paper in, again I go back to my trusty pipe cleaner, bend it over and twist it a few times so you get this sort of the bulb on the end. You don't want to pinch it too tight because then you get a point, and then it doesn't have any cleaning ability. And then I just clean out any of the excess. Where you get that black on your wicks, that tends to fall down into your deck. So as I said before, it's quite small in diameter, but if you look at the depth of that, that's how deep it is. So most atomizers or drippers will be half that. So you get more of a width surface area, but you don't get as much depth. Whereas this guy, you've got your air holes quite high up on the tank, so it allows you to have a higher build. So your wings, as I call them, will come down and go into that section. Beautifully made device. I got this straight from the guys at Revolt in Canada. Their service was great. The only thing I will say is I had to pay for import duties, which is something they didn't tell me at the time of buying, because I paid for the purchasing, and I also paid for the postage, which was international. So I figured that was that done. It isn't. You will have to pay again when it comes into the country, just to be aware of that. I don't know of any British companies selling the Revolts as yet. I think it's just coming out of Canada. But yeah, super nice device. So there we go, a nice clean deck with your coils. When it comes to the top bit, when I'm changing things over, I tend to give it a clean, for good reason. It gets quite dirty in there. That does affect flavour for me anyway. It might not for you, but it does for me. So the top cap comes off and you get a ring, quite similar to the Dark Horse, I suppose. Now this ring you can flip over, and you can see you've got two two sizes. So the big one allows more air, small one allows less air. You've got one hole on the atty itself, so you can turn it around that way to get you less air, or turn it around this way to give you more air. The only thing that I don't like, and to be honest, it's just the one thing on this this atty, is the fact that when you turn it over, the branding, it says R and then R again that way around. When you twist it, when you turn it around to get the smaller airflow, the R and R is upside down. Fickled, yes, I don't like it, but there we go. So I'm just giving everything a clean. I must add, buttery, buttery, buttery smooth on everything with this and the Forge version 2, which I looked at earlier today. So there we are. Basically, you get your 4 bits, your deck, your drip tip, which is freaking sexy. I think it's the only sort of silver wide drip tip that I've seen. Then you get your main body, and then your ring as well. I know for a fact that this whole section here can be POM if you wanted to. I think it costs $30 plus postage for that. I haven't seen a POM drip tip as yet. I'm not sure if that's available. I'm also not sure if you get different color rings. But I do know these guys don't produce these things in mass numbers. When they've gone, they've gone. So I'm going to go ahead and re-wick it. I really don't know how to pronounce this, but cotton is great. If you can get hold of some, I would really give it a go, because the wicking is fantastic. Kojendu, Hotado. I don't know. I think that might be how you pronounce it, but there it is. If you can get that, get it, because it is quite superior in terms of wicking. So, as you can see, with most organic cotton, you will have some of the husk left behind. That's not a bad thing. It's not dirt. It is. It's just part of the organicness, I suppose. Right. So I don't like too much cotton wool in mine, because it tends to give you dry hits more often. It doesn't wick very well. So I will take one sheet like that size, and I'll cut it in half. What I like to do with these sheets as well, again, this is preference, you might not like to. As you can see on either side, there's a harder sort of edge to it. I suppose that's to stop it from sort of bonding together when they pack it. But I will get my fingers in there and as close as I can to the edge, and I'll pull that piece off just on the one side, because when I twist it to feed it through, I will twist it like this. So where the harder bits on the inside now, I will twist it that way, and then I'll start to roll it through like that. So now you get something like that, and then it's thread the needle. Now some people hate this part. I used to, but I think it's quite fun now. So you get your atomizer, get the cotton wool through. Hey, first time, wicked. There we go. Once it's through, some people, I've seen this before, they literally just pull, and again that changes the shape of your coil and all sorts. So I sort of hold this bit here and I twist, and as I'm twisting I'm pulling at the same time. It's very hard to do with one hand. There we go. So it's now through. What I like to do is to see whether it moves from side to side freely. If it does, that means it is not packed too tightly. If it's packed too tightly, it doesn't wick properly. And then again, you get dry hits far too often, and I don't like dry hits. Okay, so I'll do this one quickly. So again, you get your little thread like that, and in it goes, and you thread it through. Okay, that's perfect. So what you've got now is your wings, like I like to call it. Now, I have seen some people thread that straight in, and then all that does is it gives you a hell of a lot of cotton wool at the bottom of your deck, and not a lot coming through to your wicks. Also remember, guys, not to fire at this point. If you burn the cotton wool, you're gonna have to start again because it'll just be horrible. So what I like to do here is think about the length going down. So that is going to be at the bottom of the deck, so that's almost right. I'll just trim off some of the edges there, making sure that they're the same. Yeah. Bearing in mind that the parts that you have twisted are closer together, so you may need to pull those a bit longer, because when I'm fluffing it out, well, you'll see now, there we are, and what that does is allows more liquid to be soaked up into it. So there we are. Now it's starting to look quite similar. This is the therapeutic part. I mean, I really enjoy it. I know that if I get this right, then the vaping for the next week or so will be perfect. So there we go. They're looking pretty similar at the minute. That one looks a bit smaller, in fact. But so with this, it's quite easy with these. I do tend to sometimes use one of these. And all I do is I sort of push that in and around, in and around. So I've got one side in. We can clean it up in a bit. So in and around, push it in. And this side, if I can show you from there, sort of pushing it in and around. Okay, so you can't have them sticking out over the deck side, because when you pop your sleeve over the top, it'll pull some of the cotton wool with it, and that's no good. So I do some of the shaping now when it's dry, but I do most of the shaping when it's wet. So there we go. Happy days. Okay. Then I think I'll use this. I've got to say, I can't really read that, whatever it says there, but that juice is amazing. I got that from Darren in Vapor Bar in Hitchin. He's just got it in. It doesn't come in that bottle. It comes in a funky little, what is it called? It is called Bullion Junkie, I think. I must say, bottles of juice are getting smaller and smaller, in my opinion. 30 mils used to be the standard, 30 and 10. Now it's getting smaller. Most of the bottles are 20, and this one's even 15. The price does drop slightly, but if you do buy a 30 ml section or bottles, out of that it's going to cost you more. So okay, so the first bit of soaking takes time, because you want it to sort of get through the dry bit of cotton wool. So don't just go ahead and blast it in, otherwise it'll go everywhere. Like I said before, this atty is brilliant because of the depth. It's not a shallow deck. So even though it's quite narrow, it does allow for lots of liquid. Okay. So the nice thing about having the height is that you can see when the liquid comes up to the top that you've now filtered to the level that you need. So now that it's saturated, I will shape it even further. I like to have a nice gap between, and if you're lucky enough to actually see through the deck, then that's even better, because there's more airflow going in and around. Okay, so we have successfully changed the guy over. I'll put a little bit more juice in there, and then we'll go ahead and vape it, and hopefully I don't cough and splutter, and it's been known to happen. Right, so get your guy together. I like it with more airflow. I tend to have it sort of half opened. You can slide it to open and close. I tend to have it around there, halfway. So get your drip tip, pop it back on. I mean, you can even see there how many, I mean, just for the drip tip they've got 2 O-rings. It's brilliant because it's different size inside. So that pops in, happy days. Let's open that to the desired setting. Lovely. Oh, by the way, it's worth mentioning, this can also be built in the single coil setup rather than dual. Like I said before, I like the dual. Right, so on that goes. Make sure you're lining up the air holes with the coils. Again, you've probably heard that millions of times before. There's so many reviewers out there at the minute. In fact, I don't call myself a reviewer, I just chat and talk a load of rubbish. Anyway, so there we go. There is the Revolt. It looks the business on the simple mod. If you can get your hands on one of those, it's quite tough now. I think they've done their run. But again, why not get a clone? I would, not that I'm condoning the clones market, but it works, it does what it says on the tin, and it doesn't cost 7 times the amount. So let's see how this thing vapes. That is brilliant. Every atty has their own sort of unique style and their taste. So where with the Forge version 2 you've got this interesting sort of air hole configuration that really works for it. It gives it a uniqueness. The Revolt in the same breath has the height on the deck, so quite similarly to the little boy, but this outperforms it 10-1. So you've got the height on this one, longer tails or wings or whatever you want to call them, and deeper drip well. This has got a shallower drip well, slightly wider, but your coils can go above the air holes. Let's give it another go. Right, thanks for watching, and we'll catch up soon. Cheers, bye.